Hello, students. Welcome. Happy Mother's Day. This is not a video lecture. It is just a video update. So the purpose of this video is to convey some important information about our course. But the first piece of information that I have from you is actually coming from the college. So it is about the credit, no credit option, otherwise known as pass-fail. So York College developed this policy in response to COVID-19, and it is valid for all classes at York. So it is not just this class. If any of the classes you are taking, you can take them credit, no credit. And the important thing is that you don't have to decide now. You don't have to decide whether or not you want to take a course, credit, no credit, until after you see the grade. I will submit your grades on May 28th. You have 20 days after that, until June 25th, to look at your grade and decide if you want to take the course pass-fail. So if you're going to do that, you make the change in CUNY first, but this is an important piece. Once you choose credit, no credit, this choice is irreversible. So consider wisely, okay? And a pertinent piece of information for this class regarding passing or failing is that you must complete all assignments in the course in order to pass. So this doesn't apply to the worksheets, but if you do want to go back and submit the worksheets, you can. I would encourage you to do so. However, the claim that you must complete all assignments to pass the course very, very definitely applies to the op-ed assignment and to the final. If you do not turn in an op-ed assignment, you will not pass this course. Okay? So your op-ed is due on Friday. I wrote 5 p.m. on the syllabus, but if you need to, you can have until midnight. Just make sure you turn it in on Friday, May 15th, next Friday. And please make sure to read my comments on your pitch and take them into consideration when you write your piece. If you have not yet submitted Worksheet 13, please do so. Worksheet 13 contains the pitch for the op-ed assignment. If you submit your worksheet, then I can read your pitch and give you comments that will help you write the piece. Everyone who submitted Worksheet 13 should have received comments. If you did not receive your worksheet back with comments, please stop this video now. Open your email and email me. Just say, I didn't get my worksheet back. I need my comments on the pitch. Okay? And if you have any other questions or concerns about the op-ed assignment, now would be a good time to email. Okay? So, there is no worksheet for this week. Hooray! And there is no reading. Hooray! There is an optional reading, but you won't be tested on it. It's just there for your interest. The only thing that you guys are responsible for this week is watching a film and completing your op-ed assignment. So the film that I'm asking you guys to watch is a documentary called No Mas Bebés, and it is about the sterilization of Hispanic women in Los Angeles in the 1970s. So, like the Tuskegee syphilis study, which we talked about last week, the practice documented in the film demonstrates the failure of medical professionals to obtain proper informed consent. There are a number of distinctions between these two examples, but the key distinction for the purposes of our class is the one between research ethics and clinical ethics. So the Tuskegee syphilis study is a failure of research ethics. And the eugenic sterilizations of Latinas in Los Angeles, documented in the film, is a failure of clinical ethics because it occurs in a clinical setting. Most of what we have studied in this course so far relates to clinical ethics, so the concerns of informed consent raised in this film should be very familiar to you. So both the Tuskegee study and the eugenic sterilizations documented in the film are failures of social justice, in that they dramatically display the effects of implicit and explicit racial bias in the medical system. And specifically, both demonstrate the failures of informed consent practices. So the Tuskegee study is a failure in that the participants were not even informed that they were participating in a research study to begin with, nor were they informed of the conditions of their participation, namely that they were suffering from tertiary stage syphilis. The film you are watching this week is about women who were sterilized during childbirth. They had surgical procedures performed upon them without their full consent that prevented them from having children in the future. They were sterilized in the name of population control. So when we studied informed consent, we talked about how proper informed consent is not reducible to obtaining a signature from a patient, that it involves the patient being able to understand the information presented to them and make a rational decision free from coercion. The film documents situations in which women signed consent forms. So they did actually do the signing the form part, but they did so under duress, during labor, while they were giving birth. And they were told that the doctors wouldn't deliver their babies unless they consented. So this is an example of coercion. In addition, they weren't told fully what they were consenting to, and there was often a language barrier that inhibited their understanding. So reducing informed consent to a signature on a form, in this case, represents a failure, and perhaps in every case, represents a failure to respect patient autonomy. The women were not fully informed, and they were not able to make a rational decision free from coercion. So when you watch the movie, pay attention in particular to the occasions when they talk about informed consent. So you might be thinking to yourself, why would I watch this movie? There's no worksheet on it. She'll never know if I don't watch it, but it will be on the final exam. Okay? So just as a side note here, if you have not completed all the worksheets, you can still do so. I will accept late submissions of the worksheets until May 22nd. That is, until the date that the final exam is due. Okay? So if you haven't done all the worksheets, you can still go back and do them. You can still submit them through Blackboard, and I would encourage you to do so for the sake of final exam review. If you have completed all the worksheets, I would encourage you to look back over them and read my comments on them in preparation for the exam. The exam will look a lot like the worksheets. It will have the same kinds of questions. So the worksheets are the best review guide that you can find for the exam. So details on the exam, it's going to be shorter than the midterm. It will have 6 questions, and you will be able to choose 5 of them. So there will be 1 question for each week in the second half of the course. Each of the questions will ask you to apply a concept from the first half of the course, so a concept like autonomy or beneficence, to the material that we have studied in the second half of the course. So the material we have studied since we've transitioned to distant learning. So the exam is asking you guys how the real world cases that we studied in the second half of the course exemplify the ethical principles and practices that we learned in the first half. I will post the exam at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, May 20th, and you will have 50 hours to complete it. It was going to be 48, but I wanted to let you guys have a slightly later time to submit it. So I will post the exam at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, May 20th, and it will be due at 7 p.m. on Friday, May 22nd. I will convey these details to you again via email. And just like the midterm, I am going to ask you to cite your sources, okay? So now would be a good time to brush up on those citation skills, and I'll send out another citation review worksheet before the exam. I will also post another short video lecture next week that reviews the key ethical concepts for our course. But that's it for this week, okay? So please make sure you watch the film and complete your op-ed piece for Friday. Don't hesitate to email if you have any questions or concerns. Okay, take care.